In the ancient kingdom of Aeloria, where the sky was a canvas of twilight silk brushed across silver lakes, there lived a young wanderer named Kael. He was a seasoned traveler, his boots worn from countless journeys across sprawling lands and forgotten paths. He had seen wonders that bards sang of and faced dangers that haunted campfire tales. Yet, for all his travels, nothing, absolutely nothing, could have prepared him for the moment he saw her. It happened only once, but once was enough to reshape his entire world. The sun was bleeding into the horizon, painting the sky in shades of deep crimson. The very air around him began to shimmer, vibrating with an unseen energy, and time itself seemed to swell and rise like a great, silent wave. It was in that moment of suspended reality that his eyes met hers. She was a mysterious spirit, cloaked in an aura that smelled of fresh rain and pure moonlight, and when Kael looked at her, his heart physically stumbled, caught in a breathtaking dance between disbelief and profound wonder. He knew instantly that she wasn't mortal. Her presence wasn't just something you saw, it was something you felt. It was a melody, both fragile and immeasurably vast, and it echoed through the very pulse of his soul, a rhythm he never knew he was missing. Her hair moved like wind-blown shadows, a living part of the dusk, and when she spoke, her voice carried the impossible warmth of sunlight breaking through a cold morning mist. The instant their eyes met, it felt as though the stars themselves trembled in the heavens, and the entire world held its breath, growing perfectly still. A soft, ethereal glow emanated from her, brushing against his cheek like a whisper of destiny. He felt it then, a tangible connection, a silver thread of fate that was weaving their two separate existences together, binding two souls that perhaps, long ago, had once been one. He tried to form a word, any word, but his throat was tight with awe. Only her name Lyara formed itself in the landscape of his thoughts, as if his heart had recognized it and known it long before his mind ever could. From that single, life-altering instant, everything changed. The seasons felt different, carrying a new weight, a new meaning. The rivers that wound through Aeloria seemed to hum new hopeful songs, too. Even the familiar fragrance of dusk was now forever imbued with the memory of their meeting. The wind, which had been his constant companion, seemed to pause in its relentless journey, waiting, listening. When he finally found his voice and asked for her name, her words dripped like warm honey sweet, a little uncertain, and utterly mesmerizing. And, in her smile, he saw a vision of impossible beauty, the full moon reflecting its perfect light of freshly melting snow. Her laughter was an alchemy that turned the surrounding silence into the most beautiful music he had ever heard. Her touch when her fingers grazed his hand was as gentle and as powerful as the first beam of dawn light. And it awoke something ancient and deep within him, a slumbering part of his soul he never knew existed. But their time was borrowed. Lyara belonged to the dream realm, a world woven from starlight and memory. She was a guardian of forgotten stars, a keeper of cosmic secrets. Their meeting was a beautiful, dangerous breach between worlds, a fleeting miracle, shaped and allowed by destiny itself, but one that could not last. As the first light of dawn began to fracture the darkness, her ethereal glow started to fade. The golden light of the rising sun touched her skin, not with warmth, but with a gentle summons back to her own realm. She looked at him, her eyes filled with an eternity of emotion, and whispered, "We met once and that once will live forever." As she dissolved into the morning light, a soft rain began to fall. Kael stood there, rooted to the spot, the cool drops mixing with the warmth on his cheek where her light had touched him. His heart echoed her name Lyara, over and over again. Thor. Warmth of her last touch lingered on his skin, not fading, but shimmering like a gentle, living sparker, silent promise of a possible return, a reunion for when the worlds, and their fates, might align once more. And so, the years drifted by like cherry blossom petals carried on the wind. Kael continued his wandering, but he was no longer just a traveler. He was a keeper of a sacred memory. The story of their single, beautiful meeting became a legend whispered throughout Aeloria. It was said that when a love is so pure and so true that it can stop time itself, even eternity bends to remember it. And somewhere, in the quiet moments between dusk and dawn, two souls waited, bound by a love that was destined to be a story for the ages. Tenchu, so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of Aeloria. If you enjoyed this story, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more tales from magical realms. It truly helps more than you know. Until next time, may your own stories be filled with a little bit of magic.